I am here at DeGrazia Gallery of the Sun, which is closed right now, but it's beautiful at sunset. I don't know, there's another car, but I thought I'd walk around a little bit because this is one of my favorite places in Tucson, aside from the San Javier Mission is beautiful. Like, the church is beautiful, and the people have it set up, and they redid the whole gardens there, and like they have little shops and things. But this place is extremely cool. And even though they're closed right now, I mean, this is where Ted DeGrazia actually lived. And you know, this was his house. He died in the 80s, and he's buried here actually. And they have these beautiful artworks and stuff. Just beautiful things and interesting things like this. Like this, I just kind of get a kick out of, you know, like this is some kind of barbecue, you know? And beautiful greenery and cactus, and I started exploring around when I realized that there was all this other stuff, you know, besides the museum. It's like a little stove. So this is the entrance to the gallery. He was an artist, so this is the entrance. And I was in the chapel with someone who brought me here for the first time, and I said, something to me feels like prison, you know? Had this really, like, vibe. I just said, I don't know why, it feels like prison. And these gates right here are actually from a Mexican jail. And, you know, this artist was into, like, all kinds of stuff. And this was his art gallery, and he put these gates here, and I think that's really cool, and I think it's I don't know, amazing that I had this premonition about, like I said, it feels like a jail, something feels like a jail. And then the person I was with said, yeah, the gates to the museum are from a Mexican jail. This is the thing. It's on the Register of Historic Places, so hopefully they're never going to tear it down, because it's just an awesome, he does awesome artwork, and it's just such a wonderful area to visit. Look at the sunset. You can't beat that. I'd like some palm tree cactus things. Beautiful. Now this says do not enter, which is, for me, extremely tempting. But because I have a high respect for this place, I'm just not going to step over that, like, easily stepping over barrier that they don't really have. So now we're approaching a pretty interesting area that I really enjoy. I come here just to sit sometimes. So there's this thing, and people put coins on it, if you can see. And it's kind of like, I don't know, a memorial. And then there's these interesting little wood structures that might have been a fence, because this is a very old property. And like I said, you know, there's a house on the property and everything. And this is actually his grave. This is where Ted DeGrazia is actually buried. He's buried right here on his property. And I like this. Hang on, because I don't want to misquote anything. Because there's so this is where his wife is buried, and she has a tree. She has this beautiful tree. Well, I'm going too fast, with angels, And then there's angels and wind chimes hanging from the tree. And this stuff is just so cool and so peaceful. And there's a lot of them. And I love it here. And you can tell it's very quiet. It's very peaceful. It's very beautiful. Like, look at these butterflies here. And I'm here at the right time because the sun's setting and it's just making it even more gorgeous. I noticed these structures after the first time I was here. It's like a driftwood or something. Just kind of standing there sort of around the area here. You know, and it's kind of interesting. I'm sure they have a meaning. I'm not sure what. So down back behind here, I crawled through the brush one day with a friend of mine, and I don't know if I'm going to do that, but there were some concrete slabs that used to be buildings. Now, I don't know, unfortunately there's condos very close by. You know, it used to have more of a secluded feeling. And this right here is the chapel. This is like the back area of the chapel. I love this stuff. I love, like, you know, just the rustic nature of all of this. You know, before we go to the chapel, this was another one of the areas that was like, I guess, like, they do art classes in here now. And it's kind of interesting. He probably painted this door, and it says Little Gallery, and they do art classes here. So this is the chapel, and man, the sunset is starting to get like really wild. I just have to show that. It's like, it's one of those nights where it just looks really beautiful. So this is the chapel, and I mean, everything's closed now, but they never close the chapel. So you've got these really interesting rooms. Yeah, the camera's having trouble focusing in the dark. But, you know, and this is one of his paintings, actually. That's the little girls that he would paint. And they've got this red light. But what I think is cool is there's Christmas lights and like an opening here. And there's a bell on top of there. I mean, it's just like an amazing space. And then this room that is completely dark, but there's some pictures here of the church that you can barely see. But this was the room I stepped into when I said, and there's a Mary on the floor. When I said that, well, there's like a light feature. Oh, wow. Now I'm learning things. So yeah, no, now you can see it. This was the room that I was in where I felt the presence of like a prison type vibe. So this is the chapel. Unfortunately, there were buildings here that were, one of them was taken down because of vandalism. If you want to pause the video and read this, you can. You know, but some of this, the reason why it's painting over because of vandalism, but he did these paintings. He did the paintings that are here on the wall, and I apologize for the autofocus freaking out. So this is the altar, and people leave mementos of in memorial for people who have passed away. I don't want to spend a lot of time showing this because you know, it's personal. And my camera's freaking out. But he did these paintings. And the parts that are painted over is because there was graffiti. And these are the pews. Very simple. The building is like adobe style. Yeah, but I don't want to spend too much time looking at the altar because that's like super personal for people. That's the cross on top. And my camera ain't gonna focus or anything. That's the cross. It's doing a little better now. But this is the chapel. And also a very peaceful place. And this is memorial for people who have passed away, that they put pictures and they pray here. So here it says, this mission is dedicated to Father Keener in honor of Our Lady of Guadalupe for the Indians, DeGrazia. And Father Kino was a big piece in his life, and also he has connections with what's it called, the San Javier mission. He was a really important guy here in Arizona. I couldn't tell you enough details because I really don't know all the details. But he comes up a lot with the history here. So one day, I actually got a map of the property. I'm surprised this is open, but we can go in, I guess. So I found these other buildings. And hang on. Why is it doing that? Okay, I'm learning here. There. So there's like this old fireplace. I believe this is the house, and I've never been in here. I am surprised. It's open. Here's the guy. There's Ted. He's doing his thing. He liked whiskey. He liked smoking. He loved art. You know, my opinion, my kind of guy. And they have this beautiful tile here. This was a kitchen. And you can see the stove here. The original stove. And the sink. You know, real basic. Those curtains are probably original. Here's another nice photo of him when he was here. This was his house. And then over here, trying not to fall on stuff. See, I didn't know all of this was over here at first because they don't really tell you that. But there's these other buildings that I can't tell you what they are. I don't know. But it's just kind of interesting to walk around. And there's this mural that's really neat. Here, I'll stop so it'll focus. Yeah, it's a mosaic of Native Americans. And I don't know if that was just me, but I thought I saw an orb fly by. But we're not going to talk about that. So, then here's another building. And I'm not sure what this is either. One day I just started exploring and I found these other places. And I get into like, you know, what's up with that? You know, it's kind of cool looking. Yeah, I think I still have the flashlight on. But, you know, this was his property. And it's beautiful. I mean, there's just a lot of greenery. Very quiet, very peaceful. So that's the, they have Christmas lights in the church, and on the crucifix up there, the cross. Pretty cool. And the sun is for real going down. It's beautiful. And this is the gallery in the sun. Awesome place to visit.